I want to ask you the question, but now I want to see, do you have any follow-up questions about the land deal? Because I know that piqued your curiosity.
One of them I want to talk to you about, and then one I'll talk to you about off air. But that's why I was like asking questions about it, because obviously one of the things that we deal with is there's a lot of warfare that we deal with in this work, and that's why I think a lot of the ones that have made it or here were called to it. Mm-hmm. You know, just even like I was talking to you last night.
Yeah, share the story of what happened.
Yeah, we have a director who's an amazing person. She's going through, again, we're standing and praying, and she's going through some health stuff, and we're praying through that with her and standing on the word with that. And so as she's going through that, her staff members have to kind of take over a little bit more work. We've been praying about who's going to be able to help with that. And the person that is going to be in overseeing some of the anti-trafficking ministry stuff while she's getting help, is out driving her car and is at a stop sign and gets hit by 2 drunk drivers. Not one, 2. 2 different vehicles smashed into her car at the same time.
I don't even know how that's mathematically possible.
Yeah. So I don't either, but I mean, this is just kind of like day-to-day life.
From 2 different angles, basically?
Yeah. Dang. So just smashed into her car. They both end up getting DUIs and stuff like that. And she's totally fine. But it's just the warfare side of it is part of what we deal with. And so the reason why I was smirking, and so that's why I was curious about that, because I'm going through some questions on some of our property that we're renting versus owning. And I'm praying through, hey.
Oh, dude, you and I could jam.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm going, I might need to pull the trigger on maybe owning one of these properties instead of renting it. We're in a lease to own, but the reason we're in a lease to own is because we have this other massive project. That was why you and I were kind of smirking and how we met. So the project that we're dealing with is there was a strip club in our city that was well known for 40 years. And it was a family theater, and then it turned into a theater that showed porn videos. And then in the 70s, and then in 89, it turned into, which is interesting because I was born April of 89. In April of 89, it turned into a strip club. And so the club shut down, and a lot of people have been praying, and a lot of people have been, praying over this building and even walking around it for years, like 40 years, praying for this facility. And at the same time, we're praying because our ministry is growing, and we're looking for a new headquarters, and we're looking for a place that could be a 24-hour drop-off, and a location where we could do outpatient services, and a place that'd be on a bus line. It could be open late, and all these things that we're specifically praying for. And somebody contacts me and says, hey, the strip club shut down. And I'm, would this be a place that you guys would want to get? And I immediately kind of just swatted out of my head. Like, I remember writing back, oh, that's cool. Let me know if, you find somebody that's interested in purchasing it. And then I'm just sitting there with my wife, and all of a sudden it just hits me like 20 minutes later. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. I'm like, God, maybe you're crazy enough that you would turn a building that was known for objectifying women all these years into a place that's going to help heal exploited women. And so I've been through this with my wife for a while. We've been married for a long time, and we've done different things and different adventures, like turning a schoolhouse into a safe house and different things like that. And I look over at my wife and I kind of tell her, and she just kind of, this was the time I knew I was supposed to do it, because my wife just said, well, I know you, just go look at the building, because if you don't go look at it, you're going to bug me about it for months. Right. So just go look at it. So I hit up the guy and say, hey, I'd be interested in looking at the building. He hits me up the next morning and calls me and says, you know what? I love what you guys do. It's already under contract, but I would love to sneak you in. But you have to be here at 2:00. So 1:00, my anti-trafficking director and a survivor of human trafficking show up to my office. And I'm telling them what we're thinking about. I go, hey, would you mind going down there with me? Because I'd love to get a perspective, because I want to see what your thoughts are from being a survivor, and then also through someone that's a director of the program, if this building would even work. And so we pull up to the building, and he lets us in, and it is the darkest building I've ever felt walking into. There's naked women on the walls right when you walk in. It just feels demonic. It feels dark. The people that worked there forever, because I would get emails from people later, they'd be like, have fun with the ghosts, like the place is haunted. Yeah, it was very well known as like this haunted. But when it gets down into the nitty gritty of like true recovery, I don't know how anybody can do that without the Lord.
Do you see organizations collaborate well together, or do you see like competition between different?
I see both. And it really just depends. I've been in situations of both, and it's really hard when it's that. I was very well known as like this haunted kind of place where all this stuff would happen. And I became friends with a lady that used to manage it all through the 90s who became a Christian. And she said they had rules where they couldn't play any music with Jesus' name in it unless it was mocking Christ. Like they had these things written into their policies and procedures.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Right. And that's so crazy. We walk into the building. I don't know. I'm built a little different, I guess, but like I feel that stuff and I want to go in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to drive you out. Like I know how powerful Jesus is because I've had you guys in me, and you were scared to even hear Jesus's name in the car. Let's go. Right. So I'm like ready to fight, dude.
My type of guy,
I'm
bro.
like, let's go. So I'm like, I go into the building and and as I'm going through the building, there's a lot of parts of the facility that are hitting everything on our prayer list. And I come out, and the anti-trafficking director is the same way. She's all excited, and the survivor is excited. And she's the survivor goes, I love this. She's like, if we can make this work, let's do it. She used to work there. She was a stripper there. And so she's all excited about it. Like, this is what God does. He turns something that used to be for one thing, and it gives us a new belonging and new meaning and new life. And let's do that with the building. Like, let's turn it into something different. And so I tell the guy, if this falls through, let me know. Long story short, it does fall through. He calls me. We end up getting a phone call from our city council. They had voted to put $1 million into an account to stop human trafficking. And it's around the same time that we're looking to purchase this building. And so I meet with city council. They're excited. They understand what the project is. And, but then at the very last minute, they call me in and they say, hey, we have to open this up to the county. We can't just vote to give you the money. We have to open it up to all agencies that have ever worked with a trafficking victim in our area. We understand that this is what you guys do, but these are just the rules, and it's federal money. And so because it's federal money, there's 3 restrictions on it. Right. And the first one was, obviously, we agree to do if we get the money, we agree to do what we agree to. We can't, take $1 million and go use it for something else. Mm-hmm. Second one is there's a 15-year restriction on the deed. And I'm like, I don't want the government telling me what I can and can't do in my building for 15 years. But I'm like, it's America. We can negotiate that one a little bit, But then the third one says if we use the money, the whole building must only be used for secular use only. I can't do that, bro.
No.
And I got some work to do. I got some high places we got to knock out of this building. Like, I'm like, I can't do it. So the night that I'm supposed to go receive this money, I have to go tell the city council that we're going to be pulling out of the $1 million, and I get to share our faith with them. Yeah. And why we're doing this, and that Jesus will give us a different way to do it. And we are able to go in and buy this building. And the second I get the keys, I go in there with my dad, my son Hezekiah, which I named Hezekiah because he was one of the only kings that tore down the high places.
Wow, that's cool.
And my dad and my pastor, and we go in there with sledgehammers and take out the stage. And I posted a picture of my son and my dad and pastor just doing that, and I gave a kind of just posted about the meaning of how much it meant to me being somebody that used to have addiction with women and drugs, right? And here I'm in a place where we get to turn a building into something to help these women. And somebody said, hey, can you make it shareable? And I did. I went to sleep. I woke up and it was all over the city. And it just it went viral. And then we had a group of guys that were going to come in, and they wanted to do a men's revival night. And that was what I felt like God wanted us to do. We were going to take out this high place. And there was another stage, and we were going to call the men of the city together, and we were going to do a revival night, because the building was technically a gentleman's club, right? It was the men's club, and it was the men of the community that were using the building to objectify women, right? Jeez. And Spokane's also the city that was known for Founding Father's Day. So you have a city that was known for Father's Day of us loving and protecting our women and kids. And we have this club that the men of the community, our gentlemen's club, that is not known for that with this building. And so we invite the men of the community as soon as so we had to knock out that stage to open it up. And we had hundreds of guys show up and had a revival service. My friend that I used to sell drugs with got saved in there. We had people getting saved, and then we did a women's night, and then all these women showed up, and they were getting saved and delivered in the building. And so we just took the building for the next 6 to 8 months and just did worship services, and we're just having revival and dunking people and baptizing them. And there's an open shower that was, and one of the pastors put a dunk tank up there in the shower, and they were baptizing people. So it was crazy, but it was just part of that. It was almost like God wanted us to own the land to drive this stuff out. Yeah. So it was interesting you just mentioned that, because that's just how he led us through that process. But yeah, we just did worship services and drove all that stuff out, and
that's sick.
You know, now it was a place of healing and worship, and now it's we're at the point now where we're going to start doing the demo and the renovation side of it. So,
bro, that is amazing. You know, it's I want to also make sure that people know too, like, there's nothing wrong with leasing a property. And ultimately, you're an ambassador of Christ. If you are submitted to the Holy Spirit, everywhere you go, you step on land. Like, it's like an ambassador of a country, right? They have immunity. You can be an Italian ambassador here in the U.S., and like everywhere you step, you're basically stepping on Italian soil. It's kind of how it works. Same thing with the kingdom. However, so that's why you can see Jesus was able to cast demons out of a guy, but he wasn't tearing down this whole principality of the town, because it wasn't his town to do it in, right? At least on that part of his mission. But I do think, yeah, man, especially when it comes to haunted houses and stuff like that, like trying to evict those suckers out of a haunted house, probably not.
Well, and I mean, if you don't own the haunted house and you don't want them out, right, you're just going to cast them out, and they're going to come right back with 7 more or what, it's like you're wasting your time basically. Yeah. So, but that's how we met, because I turned down the $1 million, and then I was praying, and I'm like, God, I guess we're going to have to figure out this a different way. And what's your will? What do you want to do? How do we want to do this? And I'm sitting there with my wife, and we're watching a PBD podcast.
Oh, wow.
And the Menek thing pops up, and I'm sitting there going, I'm going to Menek PBD. I'm just going to hit him up. Yeah. So I hit him up, and we kind of make this little side deal of like, if we can use Menek, then he'll do a shout out for us or all this kind of stuff. And then he hits me up on Menek and says, hey, there's this challenge. You should look into it. And it was this Menek challenge. And if you won the Menek challenge, you got to go to this conference called the Vault, and you got to have access to the CEO lounge with all the people that paid for the CEO tickets, and you could meet The Rock. And top 3 were able to access all this, and only the winner got to meet The Rock. And I was more interested, honestly, with just meeting him, PBD, and being able to have access to the CEO lounge. But I just felt led to do it for some reason. And so we went after it, and God just blessed it. People got excited, and I turned the Menek into a fundraiser. So actually, if somebody Meneks me, all that money goes to the purchase and remodel of the strip club. It doesn't actually go to me. Yeah. It's just going right back to the ministry. Well, we end up doubling the second place person's points.
Oh my gosh, dude. You just blew through it.
Yeah, I went hard. And I was going door to door. I was talking to old ladies, like trying to explain to them what an Apple ID is, trying to help them download the app. Like, it was a little complicated. So Menek, if you're listening, let's get that desktop version, because your boy's tired of trying to explain what an Apple ID is.
That is hilarious.
We end up winning the Menek contest. And, I'm thinking, man, I get to meet PBD. I get to go on stage. I'm ignorant. I've never been around around something like that. I'm from a small town, so I'm thinking, man, I get to maybe talk on stage. I'm going to raise the $1 million at the Vault Conference. And it wasn't like that. I mean, we went on stage because we won or whatever, but they gave me access to that CEO lounge. And I would get there right when the doors opened, and I would pray, and I would ask the Lord who to meet. And sure enough, in comes Cap.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip and you want to see another one like it, you can click the video over here. And if you want to watch a full episode of the Cap Chatfield Show, you can click this one right here.